as you describe it in the book, verbally, what's the difference between society and civilization? What's the difference between society and civilization?
Okay, so I do like a little exposition here to sort of set it up. What happens is as I read more and more, like I am a physician and I'm interested in healthcare, excuse me, and fitness through the martial arts. And as I read more and more about those areas, it was like you said, there's books out there about nutrition, but they don't have any kind of philosophical underpinning. There's no principle to them. It's just a marketing gimmick on one aspect of some aspect of health just to make money. And that always kind of bugs me because I'm like, why can't somebody put it just in one book? I have to read six different books. And I have an anthropology background. I have a degree in anthropology. So I started looking at what was common, like a factor analysis of sorts, what's common amongst all human cultures and societies. And then you get hung up on civilization as definition. Is it the state? And then is it the pristine state or is it the acquired state? There's politics, there's the definition of society and culture. So I did, like, I'm fond of quoting Socrates, always said, first define the terms when you're trying to understand something. So I defined for myself what a civilization was. And I could never really find a good definition. Obviously, it comes from civis, the Latin for city, and polis is the Greek for city, which is where we get politician and citizen and such from. So then I started looking for links when that started, the pristine state. Now, obviously, there's a whole academic field of study about this, and it's super interesting. But I thought that phrase, diseases of civilization, you've heard that before, strokes, heart attacks, cancers. So I wanted to know what the big difference was. So I started defining these terms, and I noticed a neat parallel with biological sciences. And I call this my SBO theory. It's in the book. Um, Everything is a cell, or starts as a cell, smallest living unit, and then cells form tissues, organs, organ systems, organisms, and then we exist in ecosystems. And I found an interesting parallel sociologically with the individual, family, communities, subcultures and cultures, and then societies, which is kind of the equivalent of an ecosystem. And nowhere in there could I find a place for a civilized society.
Hmm.
I started thinking maybe that civilization is a process and not a grouping
Hmm.
because it's not the natural order, right? And then, like I also mentioned in the book, some point. I mean, it's really on the nose, but if you are if you are a person of faith or religious bent, it wasn't the city of Eden, it was the Garden of Eden. It wasn't the metropolis.
Right.
Adam didn't name all the boulevards and the parks. It was, I don't want to go too far down that field, but
Hmm.
I think we start out, we have a natural order, and civilization is just a process of corruption on a natural human society. And I think there's the unintended consequences of being civilized, but I think ultimately it is a rearranging of the natural order into hierarchies that benefit um, a few at the cost of the many. It moves us more toward collectivism as opposed to focus on the individual. Right? And just like a living organism, healthy cells make healthy organisms.
Hmm.
Healthy individuals make healthy societies.
Hmm.
But we're so overwrought with anxiety and poor health and stuck in these lower or meeting these lower order needs, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We're stuck with our own physical safety and mental safety
Hmm.
that we never get to self actualize or become um, full individuals.
Sure, we're too bogged down.
Yeah, which is to the detriment of society, but to the benefit of the few people that benefit from a civilized society.
Hmm.
And society is one of those terms, or civilization is one of those terms that people use, like, oh, you're so uncivilized, like it was a bad thing. So that kind of gave me an idea to sort of turn that around and use that term in I don't know what you'd say, an alternative method, or the make a juxtaposition between like civilization, being civilized is a bad thing, right?
Hmm.
Being
Hmm.
uncivilized is where you want to be.
Yeah.
We talk about how The program's like I laid all that out, and it's a little tough sometimes for people to digest. So I wrote the book in 3 volumes. The first 5 steps are for health and happiness, because you can't really focus on the rest unless you're healthy.
Sure.
You got to get your health first. Health as well. The second volume I'm working on now is the field craft. That's the experiential part where you learn how to get back out into nature,
Okay.
and that puts it in perspective for you. And then the third volume next year will be kind of the philosophical underpinnings, more detailed, laid out.
Okay.
But it's kind of like that. But civilization, bad.
Mhm.
Uncivilized, good. That's kind of
Good.
how I do it.